Good, good, good. All right. So welcome to another day, another Monday where we're doing a live stream. Today is all about getting unblocked. And so when you think about blockages, of course, a lot of the focus that I touch on are the blockages that happen within the body, within your own energy. So blockages that happen between the root, sacral, solar plexus, heart space, throat, third eye, and crown. But today we are going to be focusing on blockages that we are experiencing on an external level. So when we are blocked internally, that does get reflected externally. And so we do have to focus on what's going on inside, of course, but it's also good to know when we meet this kind of resistance, when we meet this kind of blockage externally, how to address it head on as well. And a lot of times when people find resistance or find blockages in their life, immediately their terminology goes to, I have to break through this block. I have to destroy this block. It really turns into something that seems a little bit more like a war, as if that block or that resistance is evil or bad. And in reality, everything is neutral energy, right? The only way that these blockages or that this resistance is perceived in a negative connotation is through the meaning that we give it. And so I want you to kind of contemplate for just a moment here and really recognize within yourself, what are the blockages that you are perceiving externally in your life that you feel are holding you back, that you feel are slowing you down, that you feel are preventing you from having peace, happiness, joy, bliss, or even just neutrality. And I want you to take a look at how you've been addressing those blockages, how you have been addressing that resistance. And if it's something that you have been using as an excuse, or if it's something that you are using as an opportunity. It's very important that right here, right now, if you've been noticing and recognizing within yourself that you have been taking all of the external forces that you are feeling negatively impacted by in a way that is supposed to be negative, supposed to hold you back, supposed to mean that you're going to give up hope or that you're going to quit and stop trying. Are you perceiving it as such? Or are you going to allow yourself to actually see the blockage and the resistance for what it truly is? Now, why do we even have resistance in the first place? We have resistance because of the meaning that we put onto a certain external force that we perceive and we give meaning that is bad or negative or not helping us in any way. But really, to its core, there's some sort of fear of change. There's some sort of fear of change. A lot of times as us human beings, we're here living in our human experience, we think that any change that is not inspired or provoked by us, that we are not in control of, is something that is bad. Oh, this is happening to me. Oh, I feel so bad for myself. Oh, I'm a victim to this change. I didn't want this change to happen. It's out of my control. I have no idea what to do about it. Well, instead of you kind of disempowering yourself in that moment, when you see that block, when you see that resistance, when you see that fear, when you see that change, I want you to start considering it as an opportunity instead. But how do you go from one end of that spectrum to another end of that spectrum without completely losing your mind? Because honestly, whenever we are shifting our perspective, whenever we are opening our minds up to something that is new, whenever we are developing habits that are more conducive to where it is that we want to go and what our desires actually are, it does take some form of a death and a rebirth. And so you can call that an ego death. You can call that a dark night of the soul. You can call that a releasing process, whatever it is that you want to name it. It is a transformation. And sometimes these transformations, depending on how big of a reasoning that you're giving to this resistance, right? Oh, this is a very negative force. I've been dealing with this blockage for years now. It's the biggest block that I have. Or, oh, this one thing changed in my life and my whole entire life shifted. And I don't really see the positivity in that, right? I want you to take a look and say, well, this is a transition period. and I am transforming. And this transformation may not take a day, may not take a week, may not take a month, but I know that by working on it little by little, by changing my perspective little by little, and adhering to the steps that we're going to be going over today to give you an easier way of looking at whatever blockage that you feel is hindering you in life. By doing that kind of work, you are able to transition and transform yourself and transform your life in a way that seems a bit gentler, that seems a bit easier, and where you can do so in a confident way. Okay? So every single step that I'm going to go over here today is something that I've been sharing over on my socials. So if you've been hearing me on other live streams and other platforms, if you've been reading some of my posts, I want you to really sink into this message if it has not sunk into you yet. There are 6 different steps to this process, at least if you ask me. If you ask someone else, I don't know what they're going to tell you. But because of my own life experience and because of how many times I've had to transform and transition in my life, and because of my awareness of these situations and the repeating patterns of me being in a transformative state, I realized, you know what? It almost doesn't matter exactly what kind of block is in my path, as long as I can apply these steps and look at it in this way, because that's exactly what helped me get through it the last time and the time before that and the time before that. Then I think that whenever any other block comes in my way, whenever I'm facing some sort of resistance, I can tune into these steps. And after doing so throughout the years, I realized it has helped so much, because a lot of the times we get stuck in these cycles of, oh, I'm blocked, and oh, this is the one thing that if it were just removed, if God took this away from me, if someone gave me that money, if somebody just came into my life to be my lifelong partner, if I just had this one ailment physically that's been bothering me go away, my whole entire life would be better. But that is us using the external force as our reason for being, right? We're using that external force as a reason to be happy, a reason to be blissful, or a reason to be held back, set back, a reason to feel fear, a reason to feel challenged, a reason to feel upset, a reason to feel stuck or lost or confused. So let's not give that kind of power to this blockage or to that resistance or to the external factor that is changing. And let's reclaim our power back. And reclaiming your power back to yourself, especially when it comes to blockages, are going to be found in these 6 steps so that you don't have to repeat that pattern over and over and over again, or that cycle and that lesson over and over and over again. Now, there are reasons why we have to repeat certain cycles and certain lessons. There are really, really juicy, important codes, downloads, messages, and opportunities that are found by repeating certain lessons over and over and over again. Just like sometimes when we listen to a podcast and we're like, "Ooh, that was so good. Let me just re-listen to it, make sure I didn't miss anything," right? Or, "Oh, wow, that one movie, that one book was so good. That one chapter is just, it hit for me. Let me rewatch that. Let me reread it." Okay? So same thing happens with life lessons. But there comes a point in time where we experience these life lessons so much that we're like, what could I possibly be missing? Why is it that I'm still experiencing this over and over and over again? I feel like I've learned this lesson, but if I haven't, please show me the way. It's like you sometimes call to the universe, like, what is it that I'm missing? Because if I have to go through this one more time, I don't know what's going to happen to me. I'm going to be in complete despair. I'm going to be in complete frustration. And I no longer want to have this a block. If I could just know how to move past it, if I could know how to receive the message that you are trying to give me, God, that you are trying to give me, universe. Okay, so with that being said, I want you to take your notes out because this is very important for you to write down. Now, if you do not write this down and you're someone who's like, well, let me just absorb it first and then I can kind of assess which step I need the most at this time. I can kind of see where I'm stuck and why I have been repeating this pattern. That's fine. If you ever need a reminder, I do have this exact formula as a free guide for you that is in the link in my bio or at the top of my page, or if you want to DM me or email me, then you are more than welcome to do so, and I will send you that link to the free guide so that you have all 6 steps whenever you need it, and you don't have to re-listen to this all over again unless you want to then absorb all of the things that you may have lost or that you may have forgotten or missed the first time around. So first things first, this is a bit of like a precursor to the steps. You have to know where you're blocked, right? You have to know where you're blocked, whether it's in your health, whether it's in your wealth, your money, your finances, whether it is in your relationships, or whether it is in your spirituality. And I find that these are the most common blockages that we find. There could be other blockages lingering around, but usually they're going to be subgenres of those four main themes. So I want you to figure out right now, what is the one block that you've been having for the longest time that you just have no idea how to actually overcome or look at in a different way? What is a blockage that you've been experiencing lately that has really been prominent and surfacing up? And you're like, wow, no matter what I do, I'm still in this constant loop. I have no idea where to go from here. I can only just surrender if I know how, or fight it. Sometimes that's the more comfortable thing that we choose to do as human beings. Oh, resistance, let's fight until we get so tired, so puckered out that we then give up. And then we say, well, this can't happen for me. This isn't meant for me. Maybe another time, maybe another day, maybe another lifetime in general. I don't want you to get stuck in there. I don't want you to get stuck in that energy, because that energy is the energy of limitation. And I want to remind you that you lack nothing. You are spirit. You are universal energy. You are God in a separated form, right? So I want you to really, truly hear this in your soul. Tattoo this on your heart. You lack nothing. You are temporarily experiencing limitation in a world where you are truly limitless. So with that being said, let's revisit where that blockage is and say, okay, I've named my blockage. I know where it's at. This first step, this precursor, that awareness of even having the block is such a big deal. Because without that awareness, you're stuck living in autopilot. You're stuck living in this matrix. You're stuck living in the unconscious programming. You haven't woken up yet to what is going on within you by looking at what's going on around you. So for you to have this precursor step before step one is a really big deal. So already give yourself a pat on the back. Oh, I know where I'm blocked. I can see it. I don't know how to get past it, but I can see it. Then step one is understanding the root cause of that block. Because a lot of times, again, we're giving too much power to that external force or that external factor. We're saying, if this one thing were removed from my life, or if I were to just have all this money, or if I were to just have this one partner, it would change the whole entire course of my life. It's not necessarily true. We're giving way too much power to an external force, an external experience, not realizing that we're the ones in our own way from actually receiving it, experiencing it, living it, being it. So understanding the root cause. The block, that is not the end of the story, so to speak. The block is not, oh, once this is gone, all right, I'm good. Because if that were true, and let's say you did have all the money in the world, think of lottery winners. There are people who are experiencing lack all the time, feeling that they're suffering because of the money that they perceive themselves not to have. And then jackpot, right? They win the lottery, they get all this money, and within just a few years, all that money is gone. What happened? Well, they didn't understand that the root cause of that block wasn't the money itself. It wasn't the money itself. The root cause was something else. And a lot of the times, there could be many different root causes that are layered upon one another, projecting themselves as that one block. And so I use this analogy as a movie theater or a movie screen. When you're sitting in the movie theater, you see this one big screen, and usually there's one projector, right? But consider this. There could be 3, 4, 5 projectors, and they're all aimed at this one screen. And if layered correctly, it could show just one picture. And so you think, oh, this is just one simple thing. This is one thing that I'm looking at. This is one image. This is one picture, one movie. But if you were to take a look back, you would see, oh no, that has all the blue tones, that has all the red tones, that has all the orange tones, and that has all the black outlines. But together, it makes up this one thing. And so the same thing can happen when we're trying to uncover what our root cause is. Because let me tell you right now, whatever block that you are aware of is a side effect and a symptom. It's just a side effect. It's just a symptom. It's not the actual thing that is causing this experience for you. So we have to do some introspection, look a little bit deeper and say, okay, you know what? I may be experiencing this money block. Why? I may be experiencing this relationship block. Why? And if you can't get to the bottom of that by yourself, by maybe doing a little bit of root work and shadow work, by doing a little bit of an assessment of really understanding, you know what, let me have a bird's eye view of what's going on. Let me try to get my bias out of this as much as I possibly can and really see from a few steps back what it is that I've been doing, what it is that I've been feeling, what it is that I have been saying, the emotions that I have been feeling that have contributed to this side effect to actually form. And sometimes this process can be done by yourself, and sometimes you may need some support, some guidance, a fresh pair of eyes who is not sinking in the wallowing of what it is that you're going through on an emotional level, to be able to take another look, an outside perspective of what's going on truly. Sometimes it takes that conversation. Sometimes it takes that tarot reading. Sometimes it takes that energy reading. Sometimes it just takes a simple conversation, a few questions. Sometimes it takes you having a conversation with your inner child. Sometimes it takes you having a conversation with your higher self or God, source, creator, universal energy, knowing that every single time you ask that question, you will receive an answer. But you have to do that digging. You have to really get to the bottom of it and ask the why. What is it that made me believe this? Why do I continue to believe this? If I'm experiencing something negatively and I'm aware enough to understand that I'm experiencing this and I'm the cause of it, why do I keep choosing it? Because you being aware of some sort of blockage is very, very different from you not being aware of a blockage. So if you are not aware, if you're on autopilot, if you're stuck in the matrix, if you're stuck in unconscious programming and you have no idea that this block occurs, that's one thing. But the second that you are realizing that this blockage is here, now that's a choice. If you keep on experiencing it, now it's a choice because you're aware of the problem. Why do you keep choosing that problem with your time, with your energy, with your attention, with your decision-making, with your words, with your emotions? You really have to be truthful and honest with yourself. And if you cannot be truthful and honest with yourself, you will be stuck at step 1 for a very long time. Let me tell you, you will be stuck at step 1 for a very long time. So getting to that root cause, super important. Step 2 is to release and heal the block's imprint. This is also where a lot of you get stuck. Release, release, release. We hear that so much when it comes to healing, but release is only part of healing. Release is not all of healing. That's why you can get stuck in something that we all call a healing trap, where you're doing your shadow work every single day. You're crying, you're purging, you're releasing, you're having your tantrums, you're venting, you're extracting the energy. And then you're like, why do I still feel like shit? Like something's got to give. I remember when I was like that. I had that as a huge phase in my life. And I was like, well, if I cry it out, I'll feel better. Because you do feel a little bit better, just like when you ate something bad and then you have to throw up. And then after you're like, okay, I feel a little bit better. But if you are not then infusing all the energies that you need to actually heal yourself, then you're always going to be stuck in a constant state of, oh my God, I always feel so bad. Oh my God, I'm always crying. Oh my God, I'm always having doubt, fear, worry, and lack. And I'm just trying to find every single microscopic crumb within me that is causing this within me. Well, if you're only looking for the bad, you're only going to find the bad, sweetheart. And if you're giving your time, your energy, and attention all the time to the bad, you're only going to manifest more of the bad, sweetheart. So you have to get to the point where you're like, wait. Release as much as I can release as much as it feels comfortable for me. And then right after I release, right after I cry, right after I yell, right after I vent, right after I have that heart to heart, right after I have that healing session, then you infuse. Not a day after, not a week after, not a month after, not years after, right after. So I want you to take this analogy of you riding a bike. Let's say you're riding a bike, you fall down, you scrape your knee, and you're on some gravel. So there's like lots of gunk and dirt and pebbles and maybe grass or leaves, and it's all in that wound and it's real messy. So now you know you have something that's really hurting you, right? And maybe it hurts so bad that you can't ride your bike anymore. And so that presents itself as a block, okay? So the wound is the block. We then have to go into the root cause. Okay, the root cause is very simple for a physical wound because we fell. That friction that happened caused that wound, and now we're a bloody mess. When you assess that wound, you're like, okay, well, let's take out all of the gunk, all the rocks, all the dirt, all the gravel, the leaves, the grass, whatever I find in there. Let's release that from the wound because it doesn't belong there anymore. It is hurting us. If we were to do nothing about that, it would fester and continue to manifest into a larger issue. So we would take all of those rocks and we would wash them out, extract them, do what we need to do. And then what would you do after that to treat your wound? Would you just leave it and be like, okay, let's just let it air dry and just, walk it off? No, it still needs some stuff. It still needs some treatment, right? It has an imprint now. It has a gaping hole now. And that is the same thing that happens to you on an emotional level and on an energetic level when you're doing your trauma healing, when you're doing blockage healing, whatever it is. It's the same exact thing. So for a physical wound, you would maybe, put some antibacterial on it, maybe some ointment on it, and then you would protect it by concealing it with a Band-Aid or gauze. And then maybe you would give it like a little kiss, some extra love, right? And then you would continue to be very kind and nurturing and nourishing to that wound, making sure that you're tending to it so that it can heal properly and that you're not just forgetting about it and then thinking, oh, okay, I took the rocks out and I put a Band-Aid on it, like whatever, like it's going to be good, right? Well, no, there's some extra precautions that may need to be taken. Maybe it can't get wet, right? And so now you need to cover it up before you go into the shower, whatever it is. Maybe you can't go swimming for a long time. Maybe you can't, bike ride for a little bit because you don't have anything to protect your knee, like whatever it is. So why are we treating our emotional wounds and energetic wounds differently than the physical wounds? By release. And then, okay, tomorrow I hope it gets better. It's like, no, give yourself that kindness, give yourself that time, that grace, that understanding of how to actually treat your wound. But luckily, we're here to help you understand that process and give you the steps to do so. So remember that whenever you have an energetic or emotional wound, whenever you're releasing that blockage, it's time to infuse, right? So infuse happiness, joy, peace, laughter, positivity, bliss, enjoyment, whatever it is, creativity, spontaneity, right? True happiness, fun, so much fun, celebration, reward, companionship, even to help elevate those energies of happiness and joy and bliss and fun and enjoyment. So make sure that every single time you're working on your blockages and you're releasing, make sure that you're also infusing. And that's how you actually heal the imprint of the block, right? The gaping open wound of the block. Because if not, that wound, that imprint that the block has had, even though you release, it still holds that same vibration of the fear, the doubt, the worry. the heartache, the grief, the loss, the pain, the trauma. It holds that same vibration. So what is it going to do if you're not infusing something that you prefer inside of it? It's going to naturally attract something that will represent and match exactly what was needed to be released in the first place. So you want to make sure that you're infusing with your releasing, okay? From that point on, it's step 3, which not a lot of people tap into. A lot of us get stuck at step 1 and 2, and then wonder why we're not actually getting into that new cycle or chapter in life, or we're not experiencing what it is that we've been trying to manifest. Why we keep getting into these relationships that were like the same exact relationship that we were just in that was so toxic and unhealthy for us, but with a different person and a different face, right? Same thing with the lottery. They won that money. Woo, yeah, feeling good. And then because they weren't actually healing what was making that money block for them in the first place, they run into another money block right after. So step 3 is fostering a free flow of alignment. When you foster a free flow of alignment, this takes many forms. Many different kind of components can kind of linger in step 3, which is very beautiful because it means we have lots of different options. One option could be making sure that your energy centers are very clear, that they're balanced, that they're in flow. That's exactly why I created the program Beyond Balance, to help you address any sort of energy discrepancies that are going on within your being. If your energy centers are not flowing with energy properly, there's something gunking up the system. We have to make sure that that is a clear channel for spirit to then come through to us, for God, source, creator, energy, collective wisdom to then come through us. So that's why it's so important that we are making sure that we are energy healing ourselves all the time, that we are energy cleansing ourselves all the time, just like we would brush our teeth every day, make our bed every day, wash our clothes when they need to be washed, take a bath ourselves when we need to be, cleaned up. Same thing happens with our energetic well-being too, not just the physical well-being. So that is a good way to ensure a free flow of alignment, because spirit is always circulating through us. Our breath, just like our breath, spirit is always circulating through us. As a matter of fact, our breath is a form of free flow of alignment. And are you breathing shallow breaths or deep belly breaths, right? How much breath, how much spirit are you allowing in your being? Every single day, every single moment, ask yourself, how much spirit am I actually allowing into my being? Meditating, right? That is allowing yourself to have a free flow of alignment. But we have to also know that with meditation, it's not just one way. We also have to make sure that we're grounding that energy down, right? We ground as well as we meditate so that we can go above, so below. And so when you have this clear channel, when you have this free flow of alignment from your own spirit, your own consciousness is able to really be in every single fiber of your being, in all of your DNA. What can also be very influential or impactful for you at this time is making sure that you are connecting to some sort of higher power. So that could just be your higher self. That could just be your own spirit. That could be your spirit guides. That could be your ancestors. Could be ascended masters. Could be archangels. Any sort of brother or sister of the light. Some sort of benevolent being. Right? There's so many different options. There's so many different options. Gods, goddesses, deities. And so you're obviously here because you are a spiritual being. So I shouldn't have to convince you or try to teach you exactly every single option that you have available for you. But choose one of those or be open to when they call out to you. Now, if you've been following me on my socials, you will know that I am personally going through a massive transformation that I have willingly inspired within my own self. And I'm currently going through an ego death. And I've been going through this ego death that has been very painful for my ego, but very nourishing for my spirit for about over a month or so. And when I was going through the releasing part, when I was going through step 2, working my way into step 3, which is the free flow of alignment. I was just going about my business, not feeling that great emotionally, not feeling that great physically because of the releasing that I've been doing, but also making sure that I'm infusing even if I'm not feeling great, because the way to make me feel great is by infusing the dance or by infusing the art or by infusing the laughter and the enjoyment. So throughout this process, just a few days ago, I kept hearing the word or the name Kalima, Kalima, Kalima. And now this makes me laugh because I still am rewatching all of the Game of Thrones. And so obviously, you know, there is like Khal Drogo and like Khaleesi and all these different weird little names. And I was thinking to myself, why am I thinking of this? Like, what is this name? Like, why is it a Game of Thrones character? And I laughed at myself when I Googled it. I was like, no, not like a goddess, like an actual goddess is calling out to me. And I'm just like thinking it's a Game of Thrones character. But when I heard that name, it came to me just through intuition. It came to me through my subconscious, and I came to the forefront. And I realized that because I'm someone who actively has a bond and a strong relationship, and I maintain the relationship that I have with my spiritual team. So these kinds of downloads and codes and messages can come very easy when you are having that maintained bond and relationship. And so Kalima, Kalima, Kalima. And I said, oh, I have to do some digging here because I have to figure out why I'm hearing this in just the back of my mind randomly when I'm not even doing anything associated with spirituality at this moment. So I Googled it and it said goddess, right? And so I'm reading upon this goddess and I'm reading upon this goddess. I'm like, oh my gosh, this goddess has called out to me. And I had gone through experiences like this before in the past. And so I was very comfortable with knowing exactly what was going on. Like a few years ago, Ganesh came to me, and I went to one of these metaphysical shops that was around me at the time, and I found this little like totem. I found just like this little brass figurine of Ganesh and had no idea who or what it even was or the origin story. And I felt so drawn to it, so connected to it. And so I purchased it, and then I did some digging, and it was all about overcoming obstacles and removing blockages. And I was like, oh my God, I need this so much in my life. And so just like I did then with Kalima, I researched and researched and researched and figured like, okay, the reason that you are calling to me is because I need you at this time and you're here to offer me your help. So I will listen. And so I sat in a meditation, did what I had to do. And I'll skip over all the details because it's a long story, and it was a little bit, not a little bit, it was very sacred to me, and I want to keep that sacredness and that privacy to that moment of what I experienced. But that is also something that can happen to you when you're fostering a free flow of alignment, because there could be some hidden aspects that you accidentally, unknowingly skip over in step 2. There could be some things that still need to be released, but because you just don't know where to look, you know, for them, then that's when a higher power can take in and do that clearing for you. So just like when you have that itch on your back that you can't scratch, or just like when you go to a massage therapist because you can't massage your whole back by yourself, maybe you can massage a foot or maybe a hand, but like getting your whole entire body is going to be very difficult for just you. So the same thing happens when it comes to your healing journey as well, and when you're trying to remove these blockages as well, because those higher powers can see into your being and see exactly what needs to be released, exactly what has been left over in your releasing process to help you continue this releasing process fully so that there is no stone left unturned. And from that point, when you do communicate to a higher power, or you just feel that free flow of alignment come into your being every single day, honor that. Be grateful for that. Thank that being, thank that energy. And whatever it is that they tell you to do, you better do it. You better respect it, because you dare not call upon a being, even if they called upon you, to let you know that they're here and available. If you then go call upon them for help and guidance and advice or healing or protection or what have you, you better make sure that you're listening to what they have to say and that you're doing exactly what they're telling you to do. Okay? And this is not I don't want you to get like, okay, well, what if the higher power calls me and, you know, it's actually not a good being? How do I know if it's a malevolent being or something that is good for me? I do have insight on that through my courses, through my teachings. I'm sure I have things here in Aura House that will help you through that. But you will feel in your body if this is a being of unconditional love or if this is a being that you're afraid of, or, you know, a being that is asking something of you that you're like, oh, I can't do that. That doesn't sound right. Or an ancestor that, you know, is wanting something to, wanting you to serve them essentially, and you don't feel comfortable with it, and something doesn't really line up, something doesn't really add up, okay? Use your own discernment, but also understand that if it doesn't feel right, it's probably not right. But knowing that if you are clearing your energy centers, if you're grounding, if you're meditating, if you're keeping that bond with your spirit guides and maintaining that bond, you will never be led astray. You'll never be confused, ever. Ever, 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 ever. If you've never communicated with your higher self, if you've never communicated with your guides, and you're trying to like call upon someone like Kali Ma or call upon someone like Ganesh, and you have no prior experience or knowledge or know-how, then that's where I would stop you and say, come and ask me. I'll redirect you to some sort of resource that I have to help you out, because you have to make sure that you're good with your guides before you're good with anything or anyone else, you know? So foster a free flow of alignment. Okay, that's step number 3. Step number 4 is recognizing opportunities and resistance. And so you've heard me talk about this a lot recently as well. Recognizing the opportunities in resistance. So this is what I'd like to show you guys right here for those who can see it. Whenever you're experiencing some sort of blockage or resistance, it's like, here I am on my path, on my journey, and then boop, there's a block, right? There's some sort of resistance. There's something that I cannot move past, or something that I cannot overcome. And we give it this greater meaning, and we give it this greater reasoning of the fear, of the setback, of the doubt, of the worry, of the limitation. We're like, oh, what was me? And we try to destroy it. We try to knock it down. And then we get so tired that we feel that we failed and we've made all these mistakes, and we keep repeating these cycles and these patterns and these lessons, and nothing's getting any better no matter what we do or what we try. And then we give up hope, right? But in reality, if you were to empower yourself again and take back your power from all the reasoning, all the negative connotations you've given this limitation, this resistance, this block, you would then see that this is not necessarily a wall that you have to break down. It's actually a stepping stone that you get to hop over. Okay, so this is how you get to use your resistance as an opportunity instead of you using your resistance as an excuse or a setback. Okay, if you are blocked by something, especially if you feel like you've been blocked by something for a very long time, it is so easy for you to feel below it, beneath it, less than, unworthy, undeserving of experiencing anything other than this blockage. And that is the exact kind of thinking and perception that's going to keep you there. If you believe it. Well, I don't know whose quote this is, and someone can correct me in the comments or in the chat. But whether you believe that you can or believe that you cannot, it is true, right? You are right. And so we want to make sure that we are not giving so much power to this block that it is becoming the scary monster in our closet or underneath our bed, all right? Just like when we're little and we're scared of the dark, and then we realize, oh, there's nothing to be, you know, the staircase is still a staircase, whether the lights are on or the lights are off, or this closet is still a closet, whether the lights are on or whether the lights are off, right? Nothing can scare me. I am darkness. I was born from darkness, and when I die, I will go back into darkness. I am the darkness. Why am I scared of the darkness, right? Same thing goes here. You are the limitation. You are the blockage. Are you scared of yourself? No? It's a little bit silly to be scared of yourself when you know yourself, right? It's a little bit silly to be scared of yourself when you're comfortable with yourself. So instead of seeing this block as a big wall that you have to break down or somehow maneuver past, use it as the tool that moves you over to where it is that you want to go. Use it as that opportunity that it truly is, and get from a point where it's like this to a point where it's like this. All right? It's not about how can I destroy this? It's not about what in the world can someone else like help me like tear this down? No, 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 no. I can help support you and guide you in your understanding of this is not really what you're making it out to be. Let's take this from the point of the illusion of what you are making it currently and create some sort of ladder with it, some staircase with it, some elevator with it. Let's not use our illusions, our thought form energy to make a big scary monster, but to make a boat, to make a vehicle, right? Instead of a wall, of a monster, of a setback. Okay? So that is recognizing the opportunities in resistance. The thing is, if you don't do step 1, 2, or even 3, it's going to be very hard for you to see any resistance as a state of opportunity. It's going to be very hard. And if you are resistant to change because of fear, or because, oh, I don't want to go backwards in life, or I don't want to, X, Y, and Z, whatever reasoning it is that is negative that you're giving it, whenever you're putting yourself in that position, you're putting whatever it is that your goals or desires are on some sort of pedestal that are out of your reach. But simply put, you have these desires, you have these goals, you have these aspirations because they are meant for you. And it is your destiny, it is your fate. Now, divine timing does take part in some of these things, and that's fine. But that's why it's important that when you are in that place of, okay, well, maybe right now is not the right time in terms of divine timing. What am I going to do? Just wallow in what I've got and dwell on what I cannot have? No. Take advantage of every single tool, every single resource that you have at this time, so that while you're here, I don't even want to call it a waiting period, but that's like the only way that our linear minds are able to see it. But when you are in this time frame where you are working through this blockage and it's still not happening overnight or as instantly as you want it to happen, that's because you get to play around in the level that you're at right now. Maybe we can't get to that next level just yet because we didn't even enjoy the level that we're at to its full extent right now. If you cannot be satisfied and accepting of the present moment, what makes you think that you're going to be satisfied and accepting of the next moment that's going to come? Because literally all we have is now. So realizing and recognizing when you have opportunity and resistance takes that knowing of, okay, I'm here now. I'm faced with this now. This is my reality now. What will I do with it now? And this is why I say that when you have a block and you're aware of it, and then you haven't moved past it yet, you haven't used it as an opportunity yet, it's because you're playing this whole game with yourself of, oh, I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving, oh, woe is me, I'm the victim. You get stuck there because you're not realizing that the now moment that you have is all that you have. The past doesn't exist. The future doesn't exist. Yet our mind is stuck in those two areas because of our ego. Our ego is not in the present moment. Our ego is so not in the present moment. It's worried about what's to come, and it's sad about what has happened. That's the ego in a nutshell. It does many more things. It's very necessary for us. But that's the ego, right? And so we get more into the ego when we come to step 6. But now let's transition into step 5, which is creating a sustainable transformation. Because nothing worse than going through that one cycle, learning the lessons, and then going through the next cycle all over again, right? Or feeling for a moment that, oh yes, we're overcoming this resistance to change. Oh yes, we're releasing this block and we're healing through it. And I see brighter days ahead for myself. And oh my God, I'm stuck in the same thing. Oh my God, I manifested more of what I don't want. Oh my God, how did this happen to me again? Or, oh, I feel good one day and then bad the next. Or I feel good one moment and then bad the next. That sucks. That's a trap that sucks so much to be in, because it really does seem that you're trying to effort your way into something and then all your efforts are just going to shit. All your efforts are just being flushed down the toilet. You have to have some resilience. You have to remember that creating a sustainable, maintainable, long-lasting transformation is not something that happens overnight. It's not something that happens in a day's work. Sometimes it's not something that happens in a day's work or a month's work. You have to be okay with that. Because again, it's the whole like, oh, it's not about the destination, it's the journey. It's true. All we have is now. What are you presented with now? Do everything that you have with what you have now. And to really get that sustainable transformation, it's about the tediousness. It's about the tenacity. Yes, it's about the motivation. Yes, it's about the determination, but sometimes that still is a little bit, we have to balance it, right? The motivation, determination, sometimes that's a little bit more on that masculine spectrum. We have to balance it with that feminine energy as well. And sometimes that feminine energy is very comfortable and okay with the tediousness. How many times have you undone a knot in your jewelry. And you're like, oh, this could frustrate me, but it's actually kind of satisfying to like kind of undo this little bit and then undo this little bit. But if you're to give it to like your little brother or your husband or your uncle or your dad, they're like, oh my God, I just want to break the chain. You know, they're motivated to like have the release, but they don't have the ability to be tedious enough to take it little bit by little bit. And sometimes I find that, you know, with the little crafts that we like to do as women, sometimes, I mean, men can do little crafts as well too, balance, right? But I find more often than not that it's those feminine energies that are able to do those like little tiny decorative and like tedious craft kind of work, and like be okay with like the little nuances of it all, rather than trying to get to that end goal and just really find that release, but in a way where it's like, oh, well, yes, it was a release, but we had to break all these things in the process. And I'm not really happy with the journey of it all, you know? Instead of like, okay, well, you know, it took a little bit to row this boat, but now I'm stronger because of it. And now I was able to see a lot on the journey because of it and notice certain changes in the weather or the ocean or the fishes or in myself because of it. I had more time to contemplate and reflect because of it. I had more time to play around because of it. Instead of me trying to say, okay, let's row this boat and get to the other side. And now I'm tired and fatigued. And it's like, oh my gosh, I have no one else to help me. And I'm feeling, you know, so bad about myself. And during the meantime, when I get to my destination, someone's like, well, how was that? How was that journey? And you're like, oh my God, it was horrible. Or if you're okay with having things go at their own pace, if you're okay with things happening how they must, if you're okay with doing the tedious and tenacious work that it takes sometimes, and then someone asks you, hey, how's the journey? Well, it was long, but it was good. It was great, actually. And you know what? I noticed this thing about halfway, and like I would like to go back to that and like just go and explore a little bit more, right? And now these are just all analogies to help you understand what really goes on an energetic level when it comes to your path and navigating your journey. So creating a sustainable transformation, it takes implementation. It takes a acceptance of understanding that it may not happen in the time frame that you are setting it out to be. But when you're okay with that, and you're accepting of every single now moment, accepting of every single day that you get to be present, that really allows you to have a little bit more love for the journey itself, instead of you just having to press on and press on and press on for whatever it is that outcome is. This also really allows you to become detached from the outcome altogether. And we all know that letting go is a big part of the process. And so you can still work towards your goal. You can still overcome your block without, you know, feeling attached to it, without having a need for that specific outcome. Because a lot of the times when you don't get what you want from the universe, it's only because there's something better that is waiting for you that you could not have even dreamed of, that you could have not even manifested if it were up to you. And there's a blessing in not getting every single manifestation when you want it, right? Or in the exact way that you want it. There's a blessing in that. So step 5 is creating a sustainable transformation, and also understanding that, you know, we can do so in a way where we're not really attached. We can let go and we can be okay with or without. And lastly, we have step 6. And step 6 is all about reawakening to pure consciousness. Reawakening to pure consciousness. What the heck does that mean? Well, a couple of weeks ago, I was on a live stream here in Aura House talking about reawakening to pure consciousness in the way that your ego has a siren call, and it kind of lulls you to sleep. Now, whenever we go to sleep, you know, and we dream, we're like, okay, well, this feels so real. Like you could be lucid in your dream and something happens, or you're in a fight scene, or, you know, someone is bored and you're feeling like the beautiful energy of it. And you're like, oh my God, this is so real. And then like you wake up and you're like, oh, well, that's not real. This is real. Same thing kind of happens in this waking life as well, right? Everything is a bit of an illusion. That's why we're able to bring spirit into matter, because everything is flexible, moldable. That's how we can co-create with the universe and bring nothingness into tangibility, into an actual something. And so with that being said, this life itself is a form of a dream. It's similar to a dream. Okay. And the same thing goes for like how one situation or event can happen and 2 or 3 different people can have completely different realities within that. Just like when you are growing up with some siblings, right? And maybe a trauma happens to the family. All 3 siblings are going to respond to that, react to that differently. All 3 siblings are going to grow up and look back on that experience and have completely different recallings of it altogether. Why is that? It's because life is a dream and we all experience things very differently. And so in order for you to reawaken yourself to pure consciousness time and time and time and time again is to realize when you're sleeping in this dream we call life. And when you're sleeping, it's very hard sometimes to realize that you're actually sleeping until you're like, oh, wait, okay, no, I can recognize when ego's got me. I can recognize. And sometimes what happens with ego too is that it puts you in a little bit of a prison. And the prison is fake. Like it's so crazy how ego works sometimes. Ego will operate from fear, doubt, worry, lack, and then make you believe that that's exactly what is in front of you at all times and that it cannot change and that it will not change. Ego has a tricky way of deceiving you. Why? Because it wants to protect you, but also through transcending this ego, not destroying the ego, not getting rid of the ego. Yes, we do have ego deaths, and that's one thing. I get it. But through transcending the ego, through waking up to pure consciousness, okay? Instead of, or in the moments that we are falling asleep to its lullaby or to its siren call. It's very seducing, this ego energy, because we don't realize that it's happening when it's happening. But with enough practice, with enough attention, with enough awareness, we can realize, oh, I fell asleep again. Just like when you're dreaming, right? There's going to be some dreams that like you just feel like you're on the ride. And there's going to be some dreams where you're like, this is very lucid and I can choose at any moment if I want to fly or if I want to go into the next scene or who I want to talk to or what I want to say. And then I can remember the conversations when I actually wake up in like the human realm or in the 3D realm. I can like remember what that conversation was with my ancestor, with my grandma who passed, or with my best friend, whatever. Same thing happens in our human waking life too. And so being able to reawaken to pure consciousness is a skill that we all need, because only through transcending the ego time and time and time again, do we have the opportunity to grow and evolve. Or else we'd be stuck in that little prison that is all illusion and all imaginary, us thinking that it's real, cowering in fear. And we're like, oh my God, why am I stuck in the same spot? Like, why does this never change? If only you were to realize that you're like, oh my God, I'm the bars of the prison. Oh my God, I could step out the prison anytime I want to because I created it myself, you know? And so we have to be able to recognize when we're in that prison and then actively step out of it. And our ego will do anything to get us back because it doesn't want us to experience the fear, the pain that we've experienced before. It just wants us to be safe. It wants us to be comfortable in the comfort zone. And that's all fine and dandy until it's not fine and dandy. And we're breaking down every single day because we're like, why am I not living the life that I want to live? And why has it been so many years? And I still don't feel like I've been living in my purpose. I still don't feel fulfilled. I still don't feel love. I still don't feel this, that, and the other. What did I say at the very beginning? You lack nothing. You lack nothing. You are temporarily experiencing limitation in a world where you are truly limitless. Truly, because spirit is limitless. Do we have some sort of limitations in a sense? Sure. But how much they actually limit you is actually dependent on you and you alone. Only dependent on you and you alone. So reawaken to pure consciousness time and time and time and time again. And it will become habit. It will become second nature. And you'll realize that in those moments where you're reawakening back to your spirit, to who you truly are, your authentic self, when you are in that state, all the fear, all the doubt, all the worry is just beyond you. Like it is not existing. You cannot be in pure consciousness and experience lack at the same time. You cannot be in pure consciousness and experience fear at the same time. You cannot. You literally cannot. It does not exist. You've transcended it. It's not at the same frequency where it can exist within your realm, within your reality. It's a habit. It's a skill. That too you have to be tenacious with. That too is tedious work. but can actually be very fun work. Because how thrilling does it sound to be weeping in the middle of just like having this emotional breakdown, only to realize that you're weeping in a prison that you made, and you can wake up from that prison and have it all dissolve and then feel a-okay the next second. That's not bypassing your work emotionally. No, no, no. That's not bypassing your work. Bypassing your spiritual and energetic emotional healing work is something completely different. That is you realizing who you truly are. And the life, that's you living the life that you were born to live. You were not born to suffer. You were born to enjoy, to create, to expand, to try new things, to have fun, to love, to experience. Is suffering part of that experience? Sure. But staying in that suffering for days and days and days and weeks and weeks and weeks and months and months and months and years and years, whoa. That's why so many people are like, I didn't sign up for this. Why was I born? I don't want to be born. This place sucks. This is hell. Well, it's hell if you make it hell and you want it to be hell, if you choose it to be hell, or it could be heaven by realizing who you truly are and reawakening to pure consciousness over and over and over again and saying, oh yeah, I am spirit, living a human life for a little bit of time until I go back, right? Until I transcend this life and then reawaken and say, oh my God, that was the dream. Now I'm who I truly am. Oh, I get it, right? It's all a metaphor. It's all levels. It's all meta, right? It's like an onion or a jawbreaker. It's all within itself, okay? And so remember these 6 steps when it comes to truly overcoming your resistance to change and making a difference in your life in a way that you don't have to feel stuck all the time. You don't have to feel lost all the time. You don't have to feel worried all the time. You don't have to feel blocked all the time, okay? These blockages are opportunities. Leverage yourself when you're feeling limited. Don't give yourself an excuse to not, live the life you're truly here to live because of a block. Something as silly and little as a pebble, a stepping stone in your journey, okay? So with that being said, I made a post earlier today in Aura House talking about the trading post, which is something I want to share with all of you. A trading post, where I get this idea from, is a specific music festival called Electric Forest. And there's something called the Giving Tree, and then there's the trading post. The Giving Tree is a tree, a huge tree in the middle of the whole entire music festival where you just put anything down that you want. And you can put anything down, you can pick something up. But you can only pick something up if you put something down, right? Like don't go to the Giving Tree and then just take, and then, that's not reciprocal. That's not a mutual exchange. And then there's something called a trading post. So you can expect my freebies and free resources that you can associate as my giving tree, right? Where the giving tree, it's like, okay, you can take the free resources, but do something with them, right? Give it all you got. Try it out. Let me know how it went. Give me some feedback. Apply it, implement it, do something with it. Actually put your time, energy, and attention in it to make a different outcome for yourself. That's what I have for you in terms of the analogy of the giving tree. A trading post is for those of you who have felt blocked monetarily or energetically in any sort of way, knowing that you need guidance, knowing that you need help, knowing that you need support, but not feeling that you're physically able to provide the means that it takes to have that program. I have programs and resources for you that range from $35 all the way up to $5,000. And I understand that not every single member of my community is able to afford certain products or services that I have to offer, but still feel very close and connected with me, and that we've had this bond, and you still want to be able to learn from me because you trust me. And in that way, I want to be able to give back to you and pay it forward in a way that can mutually benefit us both, because I understand how it is to have these serious financial setbacks and these money blocks and feel like there's nothing that you can do to help yourself through that. And when you're trying to find the help and the resources that you need, sometimes the freebies get you a little bit of a win, but it's just scratching the surface. And sometimes the things that you really need cost more than you're able to obtain maintain. And then you're stuck in the cycle of, well, I need this, but I can't afford it. But, you know, for me to be able to afford it, like I need it. You know what I'm saying? So I get that that can happen. And so I'm introducing a new feature on this platform only for the community members here in Aura House, because it's a little bit more exclusive and you get to know me a little bit better. It's not just like open completely to the public, but it's something that you've been rocking with me for a long time. You've been hearing me teach. You've been using the resources that I have, and you're looking for a little bit more, but you're just not at that financial space to get yourself more. That's where the trading post comes in. So this feature will allow you to access some of my programs, trainings, courses, guidance, support, services in general for a heavily discounted price for an exchange. So some sort of trade has to be made for the trading post. So maybe your industry is business coaching. Maybe your industry is candle making. Maybe your industry is pot making. Like, I don't even know, like pottery or something like that. And maybe you have an abundance of that. Let's kind of go back to how it was to trade and to barter a little bit. So I will offer some of my programs if you will offer something of yours, and we will create some sort of equal exchange that we both find valuable and beneficial to us, so that we can both prosper in the ways that we need to, or the ways that we choose to. Okay. So for anyone interested in having some sort of trade at this time, I do have a trade available for the Unblocked program. So this is the Unblocked live stream. I have an Unblocked freebie guide that is, again, something that you guys can get as a free resource at the top of my page with the link in my bio, so that whenever you're like, okay, wait, what was step 1? What was step 2? What was step 3? You just have it easily accessible for you. So you can have that, you have this live stream, but there is a program that teaches you exactly how to go through every single one of these 6 steps. It's a 3-month program that starts March 15th. And the pricing of that program is $1,500. You can get it for an early bird special right now of $1,300 until March 7th, but the price does go up and will stay at $1,500 until, or at March 15th. But for anyone who wants a light or trial version of this program, you're able to get it right now until March 7th for only $35 with an exchange of a review. Okay, so all I'm asking is for a review from you guys. It's really simple. That and $35 just to handle the cost of my support and my time, because I will be working with you individually. So with that being said, anyone who's interested in trading, that review for a light or trial version of this program, you're more than welcome to come talk to me through the DMs or through emails afterwards. Comment any questions that you have below that post that I have created, and we can discuss it further. All that I ask is that you fill out the application questions that I've already posted here in the community, so that I can see if you're even a good fit for the program before we even get started, because the last thing that I want is to have you sign on to a program that's actually not going to benefit you if you're not at the right level to receive that program and benefit from it yet, right? So any questions that you have, be my guest, and we could work through that together. If you are wanting the full program, again, that's 3 months compared to the 2 months that the 2 weeks that I'm offering in the trading post. 3-month includes, of course, all of the 6 steps, in-depth work with you and whatever block it is that you are going through right now when it comes to your health, when it comes to your money, when it comes to your relationships, when it comes to your spirituality, plus different energy healing services and energy readings to help guide you through that. For that 3-month program, we're going to focus half of the time on the 6 steps, and the other half of the time is strictly implementation. So when you're out in the real world doing this and you're having questions, you're feeling a little bit of that resistance still, it's maybe difficult for you to overcome certain ways of thinking or perspectives, I'll be there supporting you along the way, because there's too many courses out here that are just information packed, and then it's like, well, what do I do with all this information? Like, yeah, I can implement it, but then like I have these questions, or then like I'm trying to put this into my real world experience, and I'm experiencing some challenges with this. So like, how do I navigate it even more? Like, the information helped me, but applying it is something completely different. That's why we spend half of the program talking about implementation and really guiding you through the process so that you feel supported and with someone who is not going through it. So I have an unbiased opinion through it all, and I can help you see things on a different level. This is also very important and beneficial for you guys if you are not yet acclimated to your spirit guides, or you have not yet created a very strong foundation and relationship with your spirit guides. I will be able to help translate those messages for you through this process, that you don't feel like you're missing out on step 3, because you can't have that free flow of alignment if you're not connecting with your guides yet. So I'll help you connect with your guides, and I'll also help translate in the process so that you have that skill moving forward. Because the last thing that I want to do is be that one spiritual teacher that says, oh yeah, I could just do everything for you. And then when you're out of the program, you're like, well, it only helped when you were here, and now I don't know how to do anything for myself. As a teacher, I one day want to not be your teacher through my teachings for you. I don't want you to have to depend or rely on me for everything. I should be able to help you develop the skills that it takes for you to then have your own access and your own connection to source, universal, and creator energy. So with that being said, that's all that I have for you guys at this time. I will continue to add some services and programs and other products for you guys in the trading post feature that is going to have a new tab section in the menu to the left of Aura House, so that if there's any other service that you need from me, you'll be able to see if it's available, and then we can make an even exchange trade on it. Also, let me know if that's something that you guys are even interested in general. If that helps you out, if you're like, oh, I could do without it, I don't really care. I imagine that's probably not the case for you guys. But either way, I would appreciate your input and your support. The very last thing that I want to say is to make sure that you guys are being a community in this community. Sometimes it is in the starting points of creating a community like this where it can be a little awkward, or people can feel a little timid, or we don't really know what to say or what to share, and that's totally okay. But I'm always here to remind you guys, this community takes you. It's not just me here every single week or whenever I make a post and then you guys, like and comment or react to it. It's not about that. Having a community means that you're being a part of the community. So when you need support, ask for it. When you have wins, share them. If there was something in a live stream that really called out to you and you want to just reinforce that into your being by sharing it with the other people who are here who may not watched that live stream yet, share it. It's not about me. I want to be able eventually to kind of remove myself in some sort of sense from this community where you guys can be engaging every single day, communicating every single day. Because when it comes to us allowing ourselves to heal and also raising the vibration of this planet, it takes you. And I love to be here. I love to talk. I'm always going to be doing these weekly live streams for you, always going to be giving you resources, but I also can recognize when the audience gets a little bit quiet, and I can only be as good as you guys are able to receive, right? If you guys are not able to receive it, I need to know that. If there's something different that I need to do, I need to know that. And if there's a way that you can support each other, you guys have to be able to do that as well. So this is my reminder for you guys to make sure that you're engaging, not for any vanity metrics, not for my ego, but for each other, because having a community of like-minded individuals that are here for the same reason, to heal, is super beneficial, but only when the community is actively engaging with one another. So remember that we're all here with our own set of issues or problems or traumas that we're facing and dealing with. If there's something that's been able to help you that could help someone else, if there's a story of transformation that you've had, whether it comes from my advice and guidance or somewhere else, share that so that we can add more value to this community in a way where it doesn't always just have to be me, even though I will do that. It also comes down to you guys as well. All right. So I love you guys very much. Thank you so much for another amazing Monday, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.